With the economy the number one issue of this year's election, legislators are hoping the concern over it will help them pass a new law. Last month, a group of bipartisan senators introduced Startup Act 2.0 in an effort to spark economic growth. And just last week, the U.S. House introduced its own version of the legislation. And the proposed bill is said to build upon the Jobs Act that was passed back in April. And while support for the law appears to be strong at this point, there are some that believe more still needs to be done. So to find out more about the Startup Act 2.0, we're going to bring in Kevin Richards, the Senior Vice President of Federal Government Affairs at TechAmerica. It's great to have you today, Kevin.
Hi, Abby. Thanks for having me on today.
You're very welcome. Well, first of all, since we are familiar with the Jobs Act, what is it that makes Startup Act 2.0 so different from the Jobs Act?
Well, Startup Act 2.0 is a bill that was introduced. It's a bipartisan bill introduced in the Senate and the House, and we're excited about it at TechAmerica because basically the bill is designed to knock down some of the barriers that stand in the way of entrepreneurs trying to launch new companies.
All right, well, let's get into some of the specific provisions that the Startup Act would allow. What are they?
Well, Abby, it addresses two fundamental provisions that are core to the innovation economy. One is making it easier for entrepreneurs to obtain financial capital and also to attract human capital, the brain power that is truly important to a 21st century global economy. And it's really America's greatest advantage that we have over the rest of the world with our colleges and universities that are world-class and leading the global economy in innovation. So these provisions will make it easier for entrepreneurs to start companies and to retain the talent necessary to grow those companies in today's economy.
Well, as you mentioned, TechAmerica is a strong supporter of the Act. So why does it believe that it is so necessary that something such as this would pass?
Well, I would say first in terms of the human capital issue, immigration reform, it's been a real challenge here in Washington to move a comprehensive immigration reform bill. For example, the H-1B cap is usually filled in one day, which gives you an idea of the challenges when it comes to attracting and retaining human capital. This bill would create two different new visa categories. One for 75,000 additional student visas in the STEM fields to go above the 50,000 H-1B cap. And it would also create a new entrepreneur visa for entrepreneurs who create companies here in the U.S. and obtain 100,000 in capital. So in terms of the human capital equation and addressing immigration, it's really a pressing priority for the industry and something that needs to be addressed. Not to mention some of the permanent 100% exemption for capital gains taxes for startups, and also research and development credits of up to $250,000. Those are a couple critical items that our membership is very excited about here at TechAmerica, and we hope to push the bill forward through that has a good broad-based business support and bipartisan support. And it's very rare that you can get that combination in today's Congress.
This is true. Well, AOL co-founder Steve Case and one of the members of President Obama's Council of Jobs and Competitiveness is also advocating Startup Act 2.0 and gave an interesting analogy on TechCrunch saying, quote, "Imagine if we trained men and women at our Air Force and Naval academies, equipped them with the tools they need to lead and succeed in battle, and then kick them out of our country to join other militaries," end quote. Do you agree that this is essentially what America is doing now?
Yeah, I think that's an accurate assessment. It's an immigration policy that doesn't make sense. The great success of this country has been its ability to attract talent from around the world and to have free, innovative ideas to invest in a capital system. And we really have now more of a fortress mentality approach where we have the best and brightest universities in the world, but we send these students back home to our foreign competitors. And other countries around the world are trying to replicate our university system. So it's becoming an increasingly competitive landscape globally. So I think we really have to take a hard look at our immigration system and address some of the pressing issues which Startup Act 2.0 does.
And according to new research from the Partnership for New American Economy, the U.S. is falling behind in the global race for talent. And by 2018, there could be a shortfall of as many as 230,000 qualified science, technology, engineering, and mathematics workers. So if this projection is accurate, what impact could it have on the U.S.?
I would say it would have the impact of high-tech companies being started overseas. You think about the companies and the high-tech titans we have today, such as Google and Intel and others. Those are all founded by immigrants or children of immigrants. So when you think about the U.S. high-tech landscape and you think about Silicon Valley and the other innovation centers around the country, I don't know the specific stat, but I believe it's about 50% of them have been founded by immigrants or children of immigrants, which is quite a telling figure at what role they've played in the U.S. innovation economy. So if we don't do something now, we risk our future and our future competitiveness and innovation.
Right. Well, there are some who would argue that with the immigration reform that this bill would bring, it could potentially limit Americans in trying to start their own businesses. So how do you respond to this concern?
I think we want to do anything that encourages capital, both here, homegrown in the U.S., and from talent that comes here to our universities here in the U.S. I think it's important to have both factors at work. I think that the shortage in the STEM fields, though, is something that's particularly a challenge for our industry. The math, science, education area. If you look at the numbers of university graduates, 2/3 of them are from overseas. So we really have to have a rising tide lifts all boats. We really need to look at fundamental education reform and getting more students involved in the STEM fields and educated and interested in those degrees. A lot of other countries, as we can see from the foreign national numbers graduating from U.S. universities in the STEM fields, are making it a priority, and the U.S. has to do that as well.
Right. Others also believe that the stipulations are still too limiting since they focus primarily on tech graduates. So in your opinion, should Startup Act 2.0 include more, or is this a good first step in the right direction?
I believe it's a good first step. It's a fundamental step. When you look at the tech field, it's the fastest growing field. In addition to the engineering and the financial services areas, tech is the fastest growing field. So I think if we start here, and perhaps we can replicate it in other areas of the economy, but our industry in particular has a need to address both these concerns when it comes to access to financial capital and access to human capital. And I believe it was Andy Grove who said that high-tech businesses move 9 times faster than Washington. So the pace of innovation is really something that we have to be concerned about. So we're hopeful that this bill will help unleash new innovation and creativity in our sector.
Absolutely. Well, what are the chances of Startup Act 2.0 getting passed this year?
We're hopeful that they're good. However, the leadership on the Hill is talking about comprehensive immigration reform. Both parties have a lot of stake on that. The Democrats like to see it comprehensively addressed, and the Republicans would like to address the immunity issue in comprehensive reform. So unfortunately, immigration reform has been victim to a larger comprehensive package. But we're not giving up hope. It is bipartisan. There's not many bipartisan vehicles that come through, unfortunately, these days. And we think that if we continue to build momentum and educate lawmakers that you can do something, you don't have to do everything, but you can do something. And that's the message we really want to send to the Hill. Economy is going to be the top issue on the minds of voters in the 2012 election. And if they want to have a record to run on and to demonstrate what they're doing here in Washington, this would be a great first step.
All right, we'll see what happens. Thank you so much for talking with us today, Kevin.
Thanks, Abby.
You're very welcome. And keep watching WebPro News for the very latest on Startup Act 2.0. I'm Abby Johnson with this report.